Suspension was discussed both at a committee level and at the board, and ultimately the league office was tasked by our board with
Welcome back to the Clark Update. WNBA fans, something major is happening surrounding Caitlin Clark, Adam Silver, and the league. After the latest move involving Clark and the New York Liberty, Silver has now addressed the situation and made his position clear. So, what exactly happened, and why is Adam Silver's latest decision creating so much attention around the WNBA? Let's jump straight into today's video and break it all down. Professional basketball has suddenly changed in a way that no one anticipated, with Clark, the Liberty, and Silver now at the center of a growing conversation. Fans are closely watching every development, and Silver's latest comments have only added more fuel to the debate. As questions continue to spread, many are wondering what this means for Clark, the Liberty, and the future of the WNBA. It all revolves around the single name that has been discussed for months by everyone. Behind the scenes, one of the most influential figures in basketball was reportedly planning a much bigger move. While everyone else was focused on statistics and shooting percentages, Adam Silver's involvement in the ongoing Caitlin Clark conversation has sent shockwaves through the league. For years, the WNBA followed a slower growth mentality with established limitations, but that approach appears to be changing as the league becomes increasingly important to the NBA's broader future. The reality goes far beyond marketing and jersey sales. If you're enjoying this content, consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 73% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's completely free and only takes a second, but it means a lot to us. So, have you subscribed already? Great, thank you for the support. Now, back to the story. The conversation around the league's direction has fundamentally changed, and not everyone is happy with the new priorities. For some longtime veterans who spent years helping build the WNBA, this sudden shift in attention and influence feels like a major change in the balance of power. Point 2. However, from a business standpoint, the numbers tell a different story. Silver reportedly concluded that the Caitlin Clark phenomenon was more than a passing trend and represented a massive opportunity for the league. With that potential came a growing demand for greater protection and consistency around the game's biggest star. This was more than a simple suggestion to WNBA leadership or represented a potential shift in how the league approaches promotion, officiating, player safety, and its overall future. When Clark first entered the professional game, everyone expected a learning curve, but few anticipated the level of physical attention and controversy surrounding her. From hard contact in the open court to fouls that sparked heated debates, the league eventually faced a difficult question about where to draw the line. According to this narrative, Silver believed that simply letting everything play out could hurt the league's long-term business potential, especially if its biggest attraction continued taking heavy contact. That created another debate inside the basketball world, with some players and fans questioning whether the rules were being enforced differently around one superstar. But one thing remains clear. The ratings and attention surrounding Clark help explain why the league's approach has become such a major topic of discussion. Point 3. 10 times as many people reportedly watch Clark's games compared with regular contests, making her presence incredibly valuable to the league. From a business perspective, the WNBA cannot afford to see its biggest attraction sidelined by an injury, especially when millions of viewers are tuning in specifically to watch her. This growing focus on protection has also fueled debate about how the game is being officiated and played, with the league increasingly emphasizing faster, higher-scoring, perimeter-oriented basketball. That style closely reflects the direction the NBA has been moving toward for years. The tension reached another major point during the Olympic selection process, when Clark was left off the roster despite her enormous popularity and impact. At first, the decision was viewed as a basketball judgment based on the experience of other players in the selection process, but speculation quickly followed about whether fatigue, workload, and long-term player management also influenced the decision. Some fans questioned why the league would keep its biggest star away from such a major international stage, while others argued that managing her workload could help protect her long-term career. Regardless of the reasoning, the decision remains one of the most debated moments surrounding Clark and the WNBA. Point 4. It was a calculated decision that, according to critics, placed the league's financial interests ahead of Clark's opportunity to build her international legacy. The choice sparked significant backlash among fans, who questioned why the WNBA's biggest young star was not given the chance to compete on that stage. However, Clark eventually returned to the court and continued generating enormous attention, keeping the spotlight firmly on the league. Speaking of the business side, the reported $2.2 billion media rights agreement has dramatically changed the conversation around the NBA and WNBA. For years, the WNBA was often viewed as a league operating on a much smaller financial scale, but the growing popularity surrounding Clark and other stars helped demonstrate the potential of women's basketball to a much larger audience. The new media landscape means more national exposure, higher production expectations, and a much bigger role for the WNBA within the NBA's broader sports business strategy. That increased attention could be a major benefit for players and their future earnings, but it also means every technical foul, controversial social media post, and locker room dispute receives far more scrutiny. The WNBA is no longer operating quietly on the sidelines. It has become part of a much larger global basketball conversation. Point 5. Teams that fail to adapt could risk being left behind. One of the biggest changes has been the move toward chartered travel across the WNBA. For years, players dealt with the challenges of commercial flights, including delays, crowded cabins, and demanding travel schedules, while the league often pointed to cost as the main obstacle to change. But as the WNBA's popularity exploded and concerns about player safety and logistics became more prominent, the league began investing heavily in private air travel. The move represents a major improvement in comfort, health, and player safety, although it also creates additional financial pressure for smaller market teams. Still, this decision was about more than simply making travel easier. It sent a powerful message about the league's ambitions. The WNBA wants to be viewed as a first-class professional sports organization, with a growing global presence. And that means investing in the infrastructure required to match its new level of attention and popularity. Point 6. Although the spend-to-make-it approach is often associated with Silver's business strategy, it represents a major and potentially risky shift for women's sports. Perhaps the most controversial part of this new direction is the league's accelerated expansion plan. Silver and the WNBA are looking beyond simply maintaining the league. They want to grow it rapidly, with new teams and markets creating more opportunities for fans and businesses. But rapid expansion also brings concerns about whether talent will be spread too thin and whether the competitive balance of the league could be affected. For current players, expansion drafts could also create uncertainty as teams prepare to build new rosters. Much of this urgency is connected to the massive attention surrounding Caitlin Clark and the current growth of women's basketball. More teams mean more games, more markets, more merchandise, and more opportunities to capitalize on the momentum. At the same time, players are wondering how quickly the next collective bargaining agreement will evolve to match the league's rapidly changing business landscape. The WNBA's approach to its growing rivalries has also changed, with more attention being placed on the competitive storylines surrounding stars such as Clark and Angel Reese. Instead of avoiding the drama, the league has increasingly recognized that competition and debate can generate social media engagement, ticket sales, and viewership. And that strategy has created tension, however, because some players may feel they are being portrayed as villains in a larger marketing narrative. Still, the results are difficult to ignore. The WNBA is attracting more attention than ever, and the Clark era has fundamentally changed the league's business landscape. 7. Off. With the WNBA attracting a level of attention and engagement that would have been difficult to imagine just a few years ago. As the latest decisions unfold, the message from the Commissioner's office seems clear. The WNBA is no longer being treated as a small development project, but as a major professional sports property with enormous commercial potential. Adam Silver's influence has accelerated that transformation, and Caitlin Clark has become one of the biggest symbols of this new era. The potential rewards are enormous, even though the league is experiencing plenty of growing pains along the way. Every major decision involving Clark now feels like part of a much larger conversation about the future of women's basketball. Whether fans support this new direction or prefer the league's more traditional identity, the choices being made today could shake the WNBA for years to come. The younger generation of players may now see the league as a serious and potentially lucrative professional career, while tensions between established veterans and rising stars are likely to continue as the stakes increase. Silver has made his bet, and now the basketball world is watching to see whether the WNBA can maintain its identity while pursuing unprecedented growth. One thing is certain, the league has entered a faster, more competitive, and far more commercially important era, and the Caitlin Clark chapter may only be the beginning of a much bigger transformation for women's basketball at 8. The shift in officiating has reportedly created tension throughout the league, especially among players and coaches who built their identities around physical defense. After years of allowing a more aggressive style, the move toward tighter whistle control has forced teams to adjust quickly with the goal of creating more open possessions, faster transitions, and more perimeter scoring. Caitlin Clark has become a major symbol of that transformation because her long-range shooting and playmaking are most effective when she has space to operate. Critics argue that changing the way the game is called so dramatically risks alienating veteran players and defensive-minded coaches, while supporters believe the evolution is necessary to make the WNBA more accessible to casual viewers. From a business perspective, the logic is straightforward. Spectacular threes, fast breaks, and highlight plays are easier to share across social media and can attract new audiences. That strategy also creates a difficult balance between entertainment and the physical identity that helped establish the league. Some longtime players may feel that the style they spent years developing is being pushed aside, while newer fans may simply want an exciting, fast-paced product. Ultimately, the challenge for Silver and the WNBA is finding a way to grow the game without making longtime players feel like their history and competitive identity no longer matter. Z9. The show is what matters to them, and they want to be part of the event. Silver is making sure that every moment is as exciting and polished as possible. This unusual situation has left some of the league's top defenders genuinely hesitant to do their jobs because they know a hard foul on Clark could lead to more than just free throws. It could turn them into the villain of a week-long media cycle. That psychological pressure is part of the league's new approach. Without officially changing the rules, the WNBA is using this kind of soft power to reshape the product and create the perception that its biggest stars should be protected. The NBA took decades to develop that star-driven environment during the Jordan and LeBron eras, but the WNBA appears to be experiencing a similar transformation in real time. The system is under serious pressure as teams reconsider every part of their defensive strategy. Do they continue playing physical defense or simply try to outscore their opponents? Increasingly, the answer seems to be the latter. TV partners have pushed for higher scoring, more entertaining games, and Silver has responded by moving the league toward a product that resembles the modern NBA. The financial implications could be enormous. As revenue grows, the salary cap could eventually rise dramatically, meaning that players frustrated by these changes today could potentially benefit from much larger contracts in the future. But for now, the transition is uncomfortable, especially for veterans whose reputations and playing styles are being challenged. They are being asked to make room for a new era, and the league office has handled that transition with little hesitation. Sharp lines have been drawn, players and teams are either adapting to the new vision or standing in its way. Under Silver's leadership, the WNBA's previous culture of cooperation between players in the front office is being replaced by a more corporate sense of urgency. The message seems clear. The league cannot afford to waste its limited window of opportunity on sentimentality. That is why the decision surrounding Clark was so significant. It symbolized the end of the WNBA as a small player-driven league and the beginning of its transformation into a major force in the global sports media landscape. The effects of that transformation are now being felt throughout the entire basketball world. Hoping to be part of the Caitlin Clark era, and international leagues are taking notice as well. At the center of it all, Clark faces enormous pressure because she is no longer viewed simply as a player. She has become the focus of an entire sports business. Every league decision involving her is examined for possible bias, while her every move receives intense attention. Yet Adam Silver has remained firm, seemingly betting that history will judge this era by the league's growth rather than by the frustrations of players who came before the current boom. The reality is that professional sports is a business as much as it is a game, and the WNBA is now being treated like a high-stakes global enterprise. It took a star from Iowa and a commissioner with an ambitious vision to push the league into a new era, and the results have been impossible to ignore. The game is faster, the attention is greater, and the stakes are higher, even though the journey has included decisions that have shaken the foundation of women's basketball. But the biggest questions are still ahead. When the next superstar arrives, will the league promote and protect her in the same way? Or was this approach created specifically for Clark? As team dynamics continue to evolve and competitors watch closely, one thing is becoming clear: the WNBA is no longer simply trying to catch up. It is beginning to set the pace, and the decisions being made today could permanently shape the future of the league.